welcome to Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where we just went to this new restaurant in town called Karma. It's an interesting concept. You don't have any menus there. You get what you deserve. So, today we're going to take a look at Creative Studio. Now, before I jump into it, let me preface this by saying this is the first of many planned UX or user experience updates to Creative Studio. So we're making just a big focus here and a big play in house to just really focus on the usability of this thing, to just make it an easier and more pleasant experience to set up these templates and send them out to your customers. So to get to Creative Studio, we're going to go here to Marketing and then down to Creative Studio. Alternatively, I could type it up here in the quick search or quick actions bar, and I could get to it that way also. But we'll just click on it in the menu. Either way, it takes us to the same place. Now, Creative Studio was built as a replacement to our eCards and Flyers system. So our eCards and Flyers system is still in there. You can still use the existing one in most cases. But the idea is that because of the greater level of functionality, you'll eventually transition into using Creative Studio more and more. Now, the beauty of Creative Studio is that it works for the most part like the old eCards and Flyers system did. You go in here, you select a template, fill it out with information or modify it as you need to, and then send it out to your customers. And when using an eCard template, you'll find that the experience is very similar, and we'll go through that. But the beauty of this is it allows you to create your own custom templates also, and modify templates, especially print templates, in a way that was never possible in the eCards and Flyer system, which is now under Marketing Center. So now that we're here in Creative Studio, we're going to mainly focus on those UX updates that we have made to it recently, so I won't go over every element of it in detail. Instead, we'll just take a look at those new updates so that you can kind of get an eye of those and see what things look like. So, first off, I will cover just kind of the existing functionality for eCards, just so that you can get an idea of that. So if I go in here, you can see that very similar to the eCards and Flyer system, we have some filters up here at the top that'll help you narrow the list down to the templates that you're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for an eCard, so I'm just going to change my type here, and we're going to go down and find eCard. There we are. Made that look difficult. So here we are. These are just the eCard designs. Now what's special about these is they are all HTML based. And what that means is you're looking at a design that whenever you send it out to one of your customers, their email client is going to interpret the code that makes up this email. And that's nice because it can, reformat the email and change the size of things and change the text in such a way that it might display better on a smaller screen, things like that. Whereas the print templates are designed for print, so kind of what you see is what you get. So the final template is going to look exactly like what you see here in the thumbnail or in the preview once you actually build it out. So I will go ahead and click on one of these eCards. We'll go with the nice dog one here. I do like a nice doggy eCard. Now this particular one doesn't accept any listing data. If it did, there would be a listing data section over here, and I would just click the plus sign on whichever listing I want to add, and it would add it into my design. But as it is, we just have our doggy picture here, and then you can see as we scroll over the text sections, if they are editable, they highlight in that red dotted line, just to indicate to me that I can edit those sections if I want to. The pictures are also editable, but for those, I'll just click on it, and you can see it brings up a little menu that allows me to change it to something else. So go ahead and click on our dog picture here, and you can see that it opens up my file browser or my file manager, and I can go into my agent files here, and we'll just switch it out to another doggy picture. And now from here, it's got my agent information loaded in here. Now because this accepts agent information, I could actually load a different agent in here if I wanted to. So just know that that's an option for you. I would just type their name in here and select them from the list, and I could add them in. Also, if I go down here and click on any of these guys, you can see that the cursor shows up, and I can modify this however I want. Happy Doggy Day. There we go. Oh, we need an exclamation point for that. There we are. Then I can use any of the options in this menu here to modify my text however I need to. Now once it's all set up, we'll just go down here and I can click Save if I want to save a draft of it that I can pull back up later on. I can click on Send Preview if I want to fire myself off a quick preview of this before I actually send it out to customers. Or I can click on Send, and you can see it pops open my Share menu, so I can at that point either share it with social media, I can send out an email with a link to this design, basically is what that does, or I can click on Customers, and that takes me to my interface that allows me to select from my customers or select from any of my customer groups, and then hit send to send this out to them. Now the difference between this and the email option is that the email, like I said, basically sends a link to this design, so they would click on it and then they could go in and see the design. What this does is actually embed that design in the email, so the email itself is the design, just like you would expect an e-card to be. But that's all there is to it. So I would just go in here, select who I want to send it to, or type out the email addresses here. Now these are auto-completers, so if I start typing out an email address, you can see it finds customer accounts with those address, or that email address on them, and I can select from those to add them to the list. And then I would click on send, and that would send it out. All right, so now let's get into the new stuff. So I'm going to go back over here to marketing and down to Creative Studio. There we are. Now this time I am going to go with a print flyer. So we're going to go to view type, and we'll just go with simple 8.5 by 11 flyer just to make it easy on ourselves. So there we go, that's loaded up. One thing that I didn't mention about this for e-cards is that the HTML based designs, or all of the e-card designs, are actually a live preview. So what they're doing is loading up with some sample data, and what you're seeing is your agent information, because it's not just a thumbnail of an example, it's actually a live preview of what that template would look like for you. So it's kind of a neat quality to the email ones. So now we've chosen our print flyers, so we're just going to pick a design we like. So I'll just pick the first one, and it's a good example because it has a listing and everything on it. Once this loads up, just refresh my page real quick to there we go. So now our design has loaded up, and the first thing you'll notice, if you're familiar with what Creative Studio has been, you'll notice that there's no big gray box here that you have to drag your design around in. So that helps out in a few different ways, because you're not just grabbing random places on your design and trying to move it around so you can see it better within the gray space. It's just loaded right into that space for you. Now the next thing we can do is we have simplified how it is you go about seeing what information can be modified here and then actually modifying that information. So first off, and we want to attach a listing to this, so I'll just click on listings, and it loads up my listings by default. But if I wanted to attach a different listing, I could just type in the address or the MLS ID here and select it. So if I wanted to make it 123 Main Street, or something like that, I'll just type in my 123. You can see all the matching listings have come up here. So I'll go ahead and click on one. We'll just do Instagram Avenue. That sounds promising. Now that I've clicked on it, if I scroll down here to the bottom, you can see that it added it to the end of the list, and I would just click on plus, and that would populate my design with all of the data from that listing. Now in this case, I set up an example listing for this, so we have our 5309 Watling Street, so I'll just click the plus sign there, and there we go. You can see all the information switched out with the information from that listing. So really, at that point, now this wouldn't be a good design since this is meant to be a multi-agent design, but at this point you would be ready to send. Let's say for example that you didn't want this to be a multi-agent design, you didn't want it to feature more than one. I could just click on that and I could press delete, and that second agent goes away. If I do have an agent that say is a co-lister on this and I want to add them, I could just go up here and I could type their name in. Charles doesn't have a very good picture, but we'll try that anyway. And you can see it loads up with their picture and all of the information from that agent account. And that's how I've populated my second agent. Or if I just want to get rid of it, I'll click on it, hit delete, and now it's gone. And that's all there is to it. Now you can also see that just like the eCard editor, if I roll over any of these items, the items that highlight in red are the ones that I know I can modify. Though the modification is a little different here. So this is an open house template specifically, but let's say that I didn't actually want to use this for an open house. I'll just click on this text, and you can see this context menu opens up over here that allows me to modify the text. Now if I just want to change what the words are, I can double click in here and I can change it however I see fit. There we are. Now if I click off of that field, you can see that's all set, and then it also picked up the styling that it had before, so that one's good to go. Now I could just click back on that. Let's say I want to change the colors or the font. I have all that information available to me here also. Or if I want to go with a custom color, we don't want to use the eyedropper, we'll just go down here and do a nice forest green. That's nice. There we go, gray, green. So you get the idea. Now I can also modify the sizing here as well. So if I wanted to make it bigger, smaller, anything like that. Now the next thing I can do, depending on how much I want to modify these listings, and like I said, I'm not going to go way into detail on everything that you can do with Creative Studio, because you can really build out a design like this from scratch using all the different elements and things available here, but mainly focusing on the updates, and the updates are all about simplifying the usability of this. So if I want to change one of these pictures, I can just click on the picture, and you can see it loads up my listing information because it recognized it as a listing picture. So I'll just expand the listing I want to take the pictures from, click on my replacement listing, and you can see it switches out. So it's as easy as that when it comes to changing out the individual pictures. I can do the same thing on my own. So if I click on my agent information down here, you can see it loads up the agent information over here, and then I can expand the agent that I want to take information from and pull that stuff into the design. Now if I had another picture down here, I only have the one, but if I had more than one, I would be able to switch out the picture with this section as well. So go ahead and close that out. But there you have it. So at this point, let's say I don't like this, we'll go ahead and modify this. There we are. Tim Finnegan lives just down the road. So there you have it. Now the last thing I'll point out is if you did want to move around objects in here, assuming those items haven't been locked by the person that originally created this template, you can do so by just clicking and dragging, and you can move those items wherever you want. Now you can see, kind of a handy feature here, that the highlighting box stays where it was. So if you moved it and you wanted to move it back, or you moved it by accident, it's real easy for you to just put it back. Or if you move it way over here and you've lost it, we can go back here and click the back button and put it right back where it was. So there you have it. That is how you set up your design, and that is just the basics of going in here, choosing a design, putting your listing data on there, and then going in and changing out any photos, changing out any text to really set this up the way you want. And then once you're all set to go, we can go up here and we can click download if I just want to download a PDF of this design. I can save it if I just want to be able to pull it back up later on. Or I can click on share and send, and this will give me very similar share and send options to what I had with the e-cards. So I can hit customers and it'll send this design out to customers, but keep in mind that an e-card for one of these is not HTML based. So exactly what you see here is exactly what they'll receive. So if they're using like a phone, for example, to view this this particular e-card, a lot of the text will look particularly small to them because it's just going to compress this whole thing down. It's not going to reformat the text and move things around for display or for better display on a smaller screen. So that's the biggest difference here. But again, these are mainly meant for print designs. We chose 8.5 by 11 flyer is what we wanted. So typically what I would do here is click on my my drop down to choose what kind of format I want to download, and I can download a PNG, a JPEG, or just download a PDF of it, and then I can send that off to a print shop or print it out myself because that is the kind of core design of these. So go ahead and click download, and we'll give it a minute, and it'll download that file for me. There we go. So that's all there is to it. That is how you can now go in and set up a print flyer and modify a print flyer to send out or to download the PDF of and ultimately print through Creative Studio. Now, keep in mind that as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is the first of many updates that are coming to enhance the overall user experience and the usability of Creative Studio, especially focusing on just choosing a template, adding your data to it, and sending it out as simply as possible. So there you have it. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call, and we will walk you through this or whatever else you need. Thanks a lot.